Good morning, fourth graders. Today we are on page 265 of your student journal, page 265, and our objective is today I will compare decimals using fractions and number lines. Okay, so today I will compare decimals. That's our goal, and our tool we're going to use is fractions and number lines. Those are going to be our tools to do this. Okay, so looking at our vocabulary, we don't have anything new. It's all just reminding us. We do have our three comparison symbols that we want to remember. And remember, I have told you that I still remember the alligator grabbing the bigger one, and I also remember the less than symbol. I could write the word less. That's how I always remember that that's the less than symbol. So just a few tricks that have stuck with me. Okay, our steps are different because we have two different types of problems. So the first one says write the decimal in fraction form. Convert so both fractions have common denominators if needed. You have to have common denominators. They just mean if needed because they might already have them. And then compare the fractions using our comparison symbols. Okay, steps for number 2 are divide the number line into 10 equal pieces and label. Because remember, it's not going to be done for us. We saw that in our last lesson. Plot the values on the number line and then compare using our symbols. Okay, so I'm going to get started right away. Here's my first problem. And it says compare this and this by using fractions. Okay, well, I need to be able to say those correctly. So what do I know about saying them? My decimals and then I always put my place values on top. Tenths, hundredths. My decimal is and then my place values are tenths and hundredths. Okay, so how would I say these? This one's 0 and 19 hundredths. And this one is 0 and 91 hundredths. Okay, so what did you hear here? 19 hundredths. And this one I heard 91 hundredths. Okay, so now that I've written them, I want to check my denominators to make sure they're the same, and they are the same. So I don't need to do step 2. So I'm ready to just compare. Well, think about this. This means I have 19 out of the 100 pieces, and this one means I have 91 out of the 100 pieces. So it's definitely going to grab this one. So 19 hundredths is less than 91 hundredths. So less than would be the correct symbol. Okay, let's look at my next one. It says compare this and this by using a number line. Okay, so first, how do we say these correctly? That's and then let's put our place values, tenths and hundredths. That's and tenths and hundredths. Okay, so this says 0 and 65 hundredths, 0 and 59 hundredths. Okay, so I heard that they were divided into hundredths. I don't want to divide this into hundredths. It's going to be a lot of parts. So I'm going to divide it into tenths first. So this is 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. But then what did I know? I knew that remember in the last few number lines we've seen that these have been divided more. So I could divide these into hundredths, which means by the time I got here, that would be 10 hundredths. And these are equivalent. 1/10 is the same as 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40 hundredths, 50 hundredths, 60 hundredths, 70 hundredths, 80 hundredths, 90 hundredths. Okay, so where are these going to go? 65 hundredths is going to go between the 60 hundredths and 70 hundredths, right in the middle. And then 59 hundredths is going to go between 50 and 60, but almost at 60. That's where 59 hundredths is going to be. So which one's larger? The 65 hundredths. So I'm going to grab that one. And I can't write less than, so that's called a greater than symbol. So 0 and 65 hundredths is greater than 0 and 59 hundredths. Okay, friends, let's try some of these together. We are on page 266. Page 266. And here's our first problem. Our first problem says, compare this and this by using fractions. Okay, ready? So what do we know? We know that's and we know that's the tenths. We know that's and that's the tenths and the hundredths. So make sure you do your place values. It's really important. Okay, so what do we hear for this one? We hear 0 and 2 tenths. So that's our fraction. What do we hear for this? 0 and 2 hundredths. Did everyone catch that? Do you see how they tricked us there? It's still 2, but what's my last place value? Hundredths. So this is 2 tenths, and this is 2 hundredths. Okay, it's really important that we caught that because that they trick us. Our eyes sometimes just get tricked and we think they're the same. Okay, so I look at my denominators and I notice they're different, so I can't compare them. So I know that 2 tenths is the same as 20 hundredths. Now I can compare them because they have the same denominator. So which one's larger? 20 hundredths is definitely larger than 2 hundredths. So our symbol is a greater than symbol. Okay, let's try one more together. Compare this and this by using the number line. Okay, so what is this and this? Let's figure these out. That's and then what are our place values? Tenths and hundredths. That's and that's tenths and hundredths. Okay, so let's see if we can say these correctly now. 0 and 3 hundredths. 0 and 23 hundredths. Okay, so since they're going by hundredths, we would ideally want this broken into hundredths, but we can't make that many lines. So we're going to do tenths. So let's do it in half. And then let's cut this into 5 parts. Let's partition it into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's partition this into 5 parts. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts. And that's 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths, and 9 tenths. Okay, but what have we learned? That 1 tenth is the same as 10 hundredths. 2 tenths is the same as 20 hundredths. 3 tenths is the same as 30 hundredths, and we could go on and fill out the rest of our number line. Okay, so where should we put these? This says 0 and 3 hundredths. So not 3 tenths, it's 3 hundredths. So it's less than 10 hundredths. It's going to be about here, friends. That's about where it's going to go, right here. And where's 23 hundredths going to go? More than 20, but less than 30. And a little bit closer to 20. So maybe right about there. So we can tell that 23 hundredths is definitely larger. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to use a less than sign. So it's going to say 0 and 3 hundredths is less than 0 and 23 hundredths. Okay, my best advice is do your place values, Really do your place values and don't get stuck on looking at them as tenths and hundredths. Pay really close attention to that. Okay, have a great day, boys and girls, and I will see you next time. Bye.